Hi everyone, you are seeing a regular spruce up you can do, which I have applied to all of my Vandas by now. The main candidates I have chosen after an experience with a root-rotted big Vanda, which was an Asco hybrid, which you saw yellow flowers at first. Now, my Vanda Benz fragrance as well as the tessellatas I own have gone through the same sprucing up also. You can see they are all in a very compacted environment now. That's because I definitely did take off the plant from the bottom, leaving only sufficient roots for the sustenance of the Vanda. Why did I do this? These Vandas that you see now are regular bloomers for me, and I needed that to slow down, so that's one reason. I think I only achieved it halfway because, as you see, my Ben's fragrance has thrown off a full spike by now. The second reason being, we are experiencing high amounts of heat these days, and my tessellatas, being species, still went through a very hard time because they are not up on a tree but have been moved around and repotted by me into inorganic material many times over. Most of the bottom leaves, because they are lifeless, suffered a lot of sunburn too. And the last time when they bloomed, I witnessed the opened blooms fall off before the others opened, so there was a definite stress blooming factor involved with the tessellatas currently. Finally, I was experiencing roots being grown in all directions, which was hard for me to hydrate at once. Therefore, I needed to get them all into one compacted environment with more shade and more nutrition, so the flower spikes will not pull in the strength from the lowest leaves where the leaves would yellow and die off. I also knew some of the oldest roots might not be able to absorb any nutrition anymore, so therefore I needed to eliminate those parts too. Now the basket is very airy with only a few amount of lava rock, charcoal and fern root pieces holding it in, reducing the possibility of root rot because of extra moisture retention. This way, the sufficient amount of moisture will remain on the roots until as much as needed is absorbed, then the air will dry the rest of it off. The reason behind not potting up the Vanda Ben's fragrance was due to its very long roots. Even though I reduced from the stem, the remaining roots are also very long. So I didn't want further diebacks in this plant because it has already lost a lot of leaves from the bottom. Therefore, I only opted to reduce roots from the bottom. However, the original root bulb it came with is gone now. So guys, what did I do with the remaining root parts of the Ben's fragrance and the tessellatas? Now you're seeing what I did to them. They are already in the same basket with a lot of fern root parts gathered around them for extra moisture retention, And at the same time, I am fertilizing it because this has active root tips. I know it's gonna push out new growths from this, which I can create another specimen when they grow up with their own roots. So leaving a bit of leaves in the stem really would help for the photosynthesis, which will allow the remaining stem parts to create keikis. To the remaining root stumps as well as the new specimen, the same care would be applied when it comes to watering and fertilization. I will be spraying a high nitrogen fertilizer today, and again in another 3 to 4 days I will be spraying a high phosphorus fertilizer to enhance root growth. And once a month I will spray Mega Thrive on them so they will adjust to the new setup better and with less amount of diebacks. Now that I have taken off the root parts, there is a possibility for more keiki production in the main specimens also. All that is expected because no matter how much fertilizer and care we would give, the plant itself would decide what they want to do. However, I will not be spraying any high potassium fertilizers because I need this to cool down from blooming and concentrate on vegetative growth. If they throw off spikes also, there's nothing I can do because the more you take off the tessellata spikes, the more they would appear. This I know from experience, not like growing phalaenopsis. Vandas would always do what they want. As Sri Lanka is expected to go through severe heat during this whole month, I hope the attempts of rejuvenation and changing of setup into more compacted state of growing in the shade will help these tessellatas to grow without any drawbacks. And remember everyone, I chose this type of setup to combat the harsh weather conditions we are facing at the moment. Anyway, this will be suited for any kind of growing condition, whether it's under grow lights or under regular morning sunlight. You can try it out and see, but first be careful and be extra precautious to try it on one of your Vandas before subjecting every one of your Vandas to this method, because you are trying to decrease the risks that your precious plants would undergo, not increase it. If I'm to summarize, if your Vanda is dull and with a lot of old roots, you can use this as a rejuvenation step. Choose your Vanda and remove the oldest roots with the stem. Preserve the stem if you want more keiki generation because of the old roots. Still, the old stem or the stump can produce new keikis. Let the wound callus over before repotting and fertilizing, because an open wound can create a lot of problems, even root rot, stem rot, and your Vanda may die. After the wound calluses over, you can wet the roots thoroughly without wetting the stem where you made the cut and arrange them in a basket like this. Make sure to break the minimum amounts of roots. Afterwards, you can gather some chunky pieces of inorganic media with a media that would hold extra moisture. With zip ties, You can tie the plants onto your basket while placing the media all around it to stabilize the plant further. Afterwards, let it settle and let it get fertilized and watered. Watch out for any type of diebacks from the bottom of the vandas, like leaves yellowing up or roots drying off. That's all fine, but your cutting cannot cause any type of root rot or severe diebacks in any structure of your plant. You can fertilize as usual, or you can fertilize with a high nitrogen or high phosphorus fertilizer like I've advised you. Then go back to your regular fertilizing regime after a month. Make sure while your plants are settling in, they are left in a very shaded spot, which will give them medium sunlight in the morning. This would further slow the blooming process of tessellatas, and you can give it a chance of a vegetative growth. I think I've made every step very clear to you. I hope this will guide you into doing your own Vanda rejuvenation. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.